First, I go to the paint sip and wash the wrong brushes. Then you have two leaks. First it was Nelly, then it was Lil Fizz. It's very much giving and we are only, 10 days into Black History Month. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse podcast. Welcome back. It's Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. I know I've been away for a little while, but I had to come back and talk about Peen To Paper because it's a mess. 10 days into Black History Month, and here we are wishing we could take it out of the console, blow in it, and put it back in to see if it'll work this time. Y'all are really down bad lately, and I'll say it again, like I was hoping we'd go into Black History Month like we had some sense, but apparently we're showing our asses again, and I just don't, what's wrong with y'all? First of all, let me address the paint and sip. So y'all saw the little clip, they had an actual nude model there, which is new to me. Because the last paint and sip I went to, it was some white lady in the middle of the room. And we had to essentially paint what she had on her in her painting. We went to a place down in Oxon Hill, I believe, and it was at a place called Muse Paint Bar. We were supposed to be painting flowers. I decided to paint a mermaid on a cliff, but we didn't have a nude male model. But y'all down here licking the wrong brushes, washing the wrong brushes, and in the middle of the paint sip. Like, whoever taped that is not your friend. Probably, I'm assuming it was a get together of like a birthday or something. But that's me reaching probably, because from the look of it, everybody else was just looking elsewhere while this lady was giving this model head. And, I've been accused of being thirsty. I've been accused of being forward, neither of which is a crime. But I've never gone to a nude thing and started sucking dick. If anything, I have my own, and 9 times out of 10, it's bigger than anybody else's in the room. But in a way, I kind of applaud the lady, because I kind of understand, but girl, you still sitting in the middle of the room around all these people. At least take them to the stairwell or the bathroom and bust them down. Like, I must be wired differently. Like, I could just do it myself, go home, do it myself. Don't really need a whole lot of people. But I have to wonder what was going on in that lady's mind. Like, girls night out. I'm gonna, hang out with my girls. And oh, penis. Wow. Here we are. And she was going to town. And he was letting her. Like, these are the kind of events that we're having now. I bet a lot of ladies at that event was like Nene when she was at Candy's Chocolate Thunder birthday party thing. I popped my eyes out of my head, put them in my purse, and drove home blind. Couple of questions. Is it that bad? Like, where was this? Like, because it looked like it was at like a Martin's West kind of venue or something, or it was in like the back of a nightclub. I just didn't know where this was going on. And was it a mixed crowd? Like, sipping paints usually are like a public event. You see them on Evite or whatever, and you just buy a ticket like you would any other event that's through Evite, and you just show up. So it's just different kind of people and stuff. Or it could be a private event. I need to know. Clip didn't really give me a whole lot. But here we are, season 3 of the Panasonic, just acting like we've been going years and years without. We had 2 leaks. Well, 2 leaks this week. Nelly accidentally uploaded a private moment with a lady friend on IG. And, Lil Fizz thing was leaked, even though you can clearly see the OnlyFans URL in the lower right-hand corner. According to who you ask, it wasn't given what people thought it gave. But I'm pretty sure the same people that were judging Nelly on his equipment can't even research their net worth. People, it just all goes along with, the kind of attitude that people have goes along with, this particular image that they have of an entertainer. Nelly is a black man, is attractive, and they just assume that, it's probably going to be slanging. It's just, I don't get the obsession with, size at this point. We're still in the generation where people don't wash themselves properly, and we're still in the generation where people are fighting for a livable wage. Yet we want to down people on the size of their equipment. The video itself, I kind of blame the woman because she kept putting her handles in the way. Like, if I'm watching something, and I'm sure a lot of y'all can agree, if I'm watching something, an adult moment, and we're all grown, everybody in the room, and the people in the clip, we like this. We're at a point where we want to see hands free, right? If you are a particular age and you are still using your hands, you need more practice. Granted, it was surprising to me because, the pipes didn't match the roof and the floor work, so to speak. I get it, like, mine is kind of like that. But this whole thing about size, like, y'all are a trip. Really need to leave it alone. It is what it is. A lot of people were tripping off of, I don't know if a lot of y'all watched Buffy and Angel back in the day, but when David Boreanaz's solo performance leaked, people didn't think it was that big of a deal. And I'm like, you do realize that, the actor or the entertainer is different from the person. And, these people actually do have things going on underneath the clothes. And it's like, what were you really expecting? And why are we kind of fantasizing off of vampires anyway? People like to get on these threads and these comment sections of posts about events like these and make these little negative comments or these unsolicited opinions to kind of take away from the moment. Like, oh, it wasn't all that. Uh, what's yours like? Are you giving what you are supposed to give? And I understand opinion is objective or subjective or whatever, but y'all are really something else. Like, y'all really take time out of your day to be different. But it was okay. A lot of conversation. There was more conversation this week about his leak and Lil Fizz's leak than there was about the fact that Taylor Young left his job on lunch break in Houston, ended up dead in the back of his own car at an impound lot in Dallas. There was more conversation this week about these two leaks than there was about the black woman in Bridgeport, Connecticut that went on the Bumble date, ended up dead the next day, and why they just let her Bumble date go. And was 6 weeks slow on the uptake on furthering their investigation. But I digress. 9 or 10 days into Black History Month, and this is where we are. For some reason, I was thinking that Lil Fizz would be a little bit more substantial. It was very much giving. That state. All right, so everybody knows Super Mario Brothers, right? A lot of us really there's a lot of us that teleport a lot in that first Super Mario Brothers game, and I'm saying Super Mario Brothers 1, not Mario Brothers. There's a difference, but Super Mario Brothers 1, right? The stage, I believe it's World 2, where he is in the sky on the mushroom stalks. Yeah, that's what this week was very much given between Lil Fizz and Nelly. But I will say, so what? Like, y'all were going crazy about that, and not in an enlightening way. Nelly's still worth $40 million. I would focus on getting a livable wage for people in your city and your state, and focus more on why there are still to this day crude oil leaks in the ocean. I would worry more about climate control. I would worry more about some of the acts that are being passed or looked at that affects family and children. I would look into trafficking cases. So moving on, we were about 6 or 7 days in, still in recovery from the Nelly and Lil Fizzed out. I'm gonna start calling him Seagrams because there wasn't much fizz. Or Schweppes. Those of us that ever had a stomach ache or a fever and parents without not a lot of money get the connection. So there was another leak that ultimately outed somebody. I don't know. I don't know if I would consider it an out because I didn't know we were on people's sexuality like that. But again, third season of the Panasonic, some people are down bad. Um, Isaiah Rashad, who's on I believe Top Dog Entertainment, is I think a singer and a rapper. Yesterday I was getting him confused with Vince Staples. Isaiah Rashad's been around for a good minute. I want to say a good 6 or 8 years on a really public international platform. He's been on a couple of Kendrick albums. Very talented dude. And there I was yesterday just minding my beeswax. And shout out to Love B. Scott for the story. Um, love her. But Twitter was on fire. And one thing I noticed is that, like, the thread under a trending topic is just the name by mention 1,000 times, but no source video. Like, people are talking about it, but you don't actually see it. Um, Isaiah Rashad allegedly was getting pleased by, um, I think, one or a couple of white twinks. No big deal to me. But apparently the conversation was more homophobic in nature. People were like, rest in peace to Isaiah Rashad. He used to be so dope. I used to be into him. And people were making these statuses and connecting them to these gifs and little video clips to insinuate it made them feel a certain kind of way, like they didn't know who he was, or he wasn't telling the truth, or he was he's not as good as he once was. And okay, well, first of all, y'all are icky because what does sexuality have to do with music? And what does see? Y'all are too nosy. Y'all just think people owe you a lot more beyond their art. Like, y'all are weird. Y'all are weird. I implore you guys to go out and get jobs and hobbies and do something for yourself. Um, I enjoy Isaiah Rashad. I think it's jacked up that he was outed this way. Um, but again, people are nosy and people are adding to this point clout chasers. There's no discretion anymore. Um, you can't even be a celebrity and have a private life and mind your own business because people need attention. And here we are. Now, the other part of that argument, people try to kind of zigzag around the homophobia and make it seem like, oh, well, I don't really care if he is or he isn't. It's just that he's with white twinks and it's Black History Month and blah, 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 blah. Um, when I read that comment, it just made me think of like when black women would feel some kind of way if a black guy was with a white woman, or once they found out that he was married to a white woman, they just lost all kind of whatever. As if any of y'all had a chance. Like, let that man do what he does. Um, and let him mind his business like you should be minding yours. Like, of all the things in 2022, which is essentially 2020 part 3, uh, this is what y'all decide to discuss and have an issue with. I'm gonna need y'all to really reevaluate what's going on around y'all and get you some business, stay hydrated, and go on about your day. Like, um, why do you care? Um, I just, I don't get it. I may be the minority in this. Um, but moving on, I'd said on the podcast in a recent episode, which is coming out later, this whole discourse about the Rogan situation, yeah, I think it was, again, another example or a case point in a long-standing tradition of people just jumping on the bandwagon just to get attention. Because let's keep it a buck. A lot of people don't know who Neil Simon is. Let's keep it a buck, who was really streaming India Arie's music. The N-word is problematic. And I will say that you can say and do whatever you want. The consequences may vary. So Spotify isn't, if people understand business and contracts and everything, Spotify is not going to pull a podcast they have an exclusive agreement with. A, it's breach of contract, and B, that's a lot of stream revenue and a lot of that's a huge audience that Rogan has over there. We're so ready to pounce again because we're bored and we're attention whores. People were just about to jump on Dave Chappelle again after that Yellow Springs town hall without full view, without all the context. They were about to jump on him because they connect affordable housing with minorities, and they thought, well, you're rich, why would you be against affordable housing for minorities? When in fact, there's more to the story. Dave Chappelle has a lot of investment money in Yellow Springs where he lives, and him coming from affordable housing, he was essentially talking on it because he knew what it was going to do and who it was for. And understand that much of Yellow Springs, almost 90%, is predominantly white. So affordable housing would have went to the whites. And understand that historically, there isn't much appreciation or consideration to land value between the different racial dynamics. So Dave Chappelle was speaking on that. But for those of us that are part of fake woke cancel culture, people were ready to hop on Dave Chappelle's case again. Again, we're more about cloud chasing than social studies. So yeah, 10 days into Black History Month, and we're still cutting up. This is Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. Be sure to follow and subscribe. Stay hydrated, stay focused, stay smart, mind your business, and keep your eyes on your own paper. And we will catch you until next time. Later.